Hello.
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 Just give people another minute to join and then we'll get started. Maybe we'll be a small group today. So Marcus, you can tell us, is this group usually small?
There were 4 to 5 people. Usually Shane.
Mm-hmm.
And a number of people were silent listeners, but I missed
Sure.
I missed the last meeting. I simply forgot.
Sure, it happens. I know Shane has been very busy, and so I don't know if he's actually attending, but I was actually thinking Daniel Wozniak was as well, but he may be busy as well. It's a busy time, so
yeah,
we'll see. Give them a chance.
This virtual desktop is funny. I have none, so I cannot put a virtual desktop, it seems.
Oh, really?
Too bad. It's too nice. It's
my background's so boring that I have to have something that's a little nicer. So, Minecraft, why not?
Oh, I have to add an image. I see.
Oh, you might, yeah.
Interesting. Only that I have absolutely no pictures on this machine.
No, I don't have very many either. Oh, Shane says that he will join. He's just running a little late.
You're both from SaltStack, or you're also contributors, or
We're both with the company. We're both with SaltStack. So I've been with the company almost 2 years, and I was mentoring Kavya, and so I stepped in as she stepped away and went to go work for another company. And we'll probably stick around. I'm a project manager and a Scrum Master, and have helped them in that capacity. And then really enjoy working with the community. And then Cassandra is new and is our community manager. And we're just really thrilled to have her and have her in that role. That's a new role for us, and it's much needed. And so it's really great to have her. And she comes with just mounds of experience, and it's really great.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you step in for whom? I didn't got the name.
Kavya.
I've never met her. I think I noticed that Nicole is no longer here or with you. So that was a pity, because I enjoyed. She was a person who was very patient with me with Git and everything. So whenever I had a Git question, then I could have asked her. So now it's much better now, but it's sure that it's It's too bad that she moved on.
Yes, yes, she's still a contributor within the community, but she did move on, and we miss her greatly. Yeah.
Mm.
Worked with Nicole a lot. She was fantastic. Hi, Shane. Welcome.
Hey. Sorry.
No problem.
The beard.
Got another meeting. I was trying. Oh yeah, it's November.
That's right. So this might be all of us. So Shane, if you're our kind of our lead here, and Cassandra, if you want to get us started.
Hey, just wanted to introduce myself real quick. I'm Cassandra Ferris. I'm our new community manager here at SaltStack. Mostly right now just sitting in on these groups to hear what everybody has to say. And if any of you have questions or comments, I just want to let you know I'm available via Slack, so reach out.
Thanks, Cassandra. I'm Shane Lee. I work for Salt, and I've been kind of heading up the Windows work group. It's kind of a small group. We actually had a pretty good turnout at SaltConf, though. They gave us like a table for 4, little tiny table. We ended up having like eight or 9 people there that were kind of interested in the Windows side. So it was good to see that interest there.
Nice.
It was good.
This is Marcus. He's in Germany. Are you Germany? Where are you at, Marcus?
Yep.
So he's staying late to be able to attend our meeting.
It's 5:30 for me, but that's
Okay.
perfect.
Yeah.
That's not too bad.
So Marcus has been working on an MSI for Windows. He's done a lot of work on that in the last couple of months. He's been doing this work group. I wanted to tell you about my plans for that, Marcus. I wanted to add that to my script that when I do the builds, I run a script. The builds are executable, the Nullsoft one, and then I'd like to add the MSI part to it. So it builds them both.
Excellent.
Do you feel like that's ready to do?
Yep.
Okay. And what do I have to install to build the MSI? Do I have to install Visual Studio or anything?
No. There is a small script called build environment, which you need the Microsoft build tools and whatever it says. So in fact, I only can think of the build tools, which is clumsy software. It's like an ONT XML based way of doing things. What else? It checks for the WIX software, so it installs WIX. And I think at .NET, if it's not, it checks that your computer has .NET, which is since Windows 10 like very superfluous. But so I think it's build and WIX, and it performs. So you just need to execute. You enter build environment, and then you're done.
Okay, so you build the environment and that builds the MSI, or is there something you got to run after that?
No, first you build the environment and then you run build, which builds the MSI.
Okay. All right. Another thing I'm wanting to do is move to Python 3.7.
7, okay.
Do you foresee any problems with build environment in that?
No.
As long as I can get Salt to build on 3.7, then it should pull it should pull that into the MSI, right?
Right.
Okay.
It simply copies whatever you have in your build environment directory, and if it's then the it also copies the Python environment. No, the Python is copied too because it's inside the build environment. I've never tried actually Python 3. I'm aware that next year is coming, but we still have this very strange 5-minute lag. So I would first need to resolve our Python 3 problems, and as long, I will pursue with Python 2, even if it's no longer supported. We have a number of unsupported software running, but I'm willing to support you with Python 3 because I also look forward to Python 3. I'm looking forward to Python 3. Just we need to find the bug in which you don't see. I mean, I'm the only person who has this 5-minute startup delay, and so it seems to be not easy to pinpoint.
Right. Can you Slack me that issue again
Okay.
that you had, so I can look at it again, see if I can replicate it?
Yeah.
I think I took a look at it.
You tried once and you didn't, so it's unfortunate. But I have built
And, send me also your minion config.
It's empty.
It's empty. Your master config, is it
Empty too.
also empty? See, are you on a VPN or anything, or just? Then you can do it on a local host. Put a master and a minion on the same machine, and it still takes.
I haven't tried that. The master is always on Unix, and all my minions are Windows minions. Okay. I have no. I could set up. I would have. I could. I've never. I think I can set up a Unix minion, but I never did.
Okay. So we don't package master on Windows. If you were going to run a master on Windows, you'd have to run it off the source.
I could, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you could launch up a master on a Windows box and put a minion on the same box and see if you get the, and you just map them all to local host.
Okay.
Basically.
I tried that and it kind of worked. But it seems that I tried that with a higher version or with Python 3, and I ran into missing dependencies. So it seems like there was, essentially it was Visual C++ missing something. I can Slack you that too next year. This year is more or less
done.
I wanted to say hello to everybody, but so I'm two days.
Hello.
But I was interested in seeing Joseph is still is here, or maybe not today, but
yeah, he's still with us, and I'm surprised he's not on here. Actually.
Okay. So I just wanted to socialize a little. I wanted to ask anybody of you. So I had made this. I have a very nice experience of profiling the Salt Master. This was really helpful for me. There was a nice how-to. You can profile the Salt Master. Can you somehow profile the Salt Minion? This would be finding the 5-minute delay would be really beneficial.
Did you watch a video on that or something, or?
No, there was a documentation how to profile the Salt Master, and it worked. After I had to install Yummy, I think it was something like Yummy, but it's now even in the dock. But can you debug or profile the minion somehow?
You probably can. Your debug tools and monitoring tools are a little different in Windows. Processes that aren't exposed the same way. But I know DWAS, he's done a little bit on it. So I could talk to him and see if there's a way to.
That would be nice.
Profile the minion on Windows. It's the minion on Windows specifically.
I think, yes. Yes.
Okay. Now let me talk to Daniel and see if he can lead me the right way on that. Maybe, I don't know if the Yummy stuff would work. That might be a Linux specific.
I've never tried that. It could be. I could install the Yummy on Windows and see what happens. In fact, I should at least try.
Is that a PyPy project?
I think so. It's just,
Oh.
I think it's no binaries. It's just pure Python. So it could work on Windows. I could give it a try. And
There's a Yummy project. It's at 0.0.0. It's just a placeholder.
but
There's Dummy Yummy. It's the only Yummy I'm seeing.
Well, at least they had fun with the names.
Okay.
Saj, what are you also involved? You're maybe on both Unix and Windows. I'm just curious. What are you? We started to present, and then maybe Shane arrived. So I'm familiar with Shane since years practically. What are you doing? You said I'm not familiar with the person you came for, and what is your relation to Windows in essentially a few words?
Yeah, so I'm barely a Windows user, so but interested in the work group. So I'm a Scrum Master, and that's
Okay.
basically my role. I do a lot more program management with these groups, and mostly just interested to see what you guys are talking about and understand that from more of a program level.
Okay. I see.
Help you guys with process, make sure you have what you need. Yeah.
Well, then I would say I look to come back to your question, Shane. I look really forward that you incorporate the MSI into your scripts, because I think it's ready since a long time. So I would say do it and see what comes out. The log file isn't really nice to read, but we would need to find errors if they arise.
Okay.
It
All
runs run. Don't be surprised if the building of the MSI, at least on my old machine, it runs for 3 to 4 minutes. So this, if you look at it, it runs for 3 to 4 minutes, but then you could use it right away.
You mean installing the MSI takes 3 to 4 minutes, or building it?
Building the MSI.
Building it. Okay. Yeah, it takes 3 or 4 minutes. The Nullsoft script too.
Yeah.
So.
Also, yes. So it's comparable in time. So if we have all these project managers around us, we must behave. So.
Well, we aren't slotting this until Sodium. Now that we've moved to a single master branch, that makes it kind of tricky. So I'll probably do it and then hold on to the PR and not merge it until we get closer to the Sodium release.
I think it is a good. It must have been a terrible decision to go away from this multi-branch thing. But my personal feeling is it seems like a good simplification, but at the same time, I have the impression that everybody who is I had to I could not, how you say, rebrand or rebase. I could not rebase, so I had to re-implement all my pull requests, which was easy because I had very simple pull requests. But I think many people may be very pissed off because all their pull requests containing tens of files, they are just gone in that multi-branch disaster.
Yeah.
So I think the transition must be somehow difficult.
It is. But it was more difficult to try to maintain the 5 or 6 branches and keeping all the test screen on everything. It was a tough decision to make, and we're still recovering from it. Yeah. And we'll be going over those pull requests for the next year, I would imagine, to finally get everything in. For people who don't do it themselves, I mean, we'll eventually get to it, but it's a slow process getting all those changes in.
Yeah, but I think it's the right decision because it's also the most common branching model. So I think you find more people familiar with that branching model than that how you say previous one, and it's for me it seems to be too much complexity. I'm a big fan of complexity, so I liked it also, but
yeah. Well,
I
you're
think-
German.
Yeah, in fact, I'm German, so I need to like complexity, and I wanted to discuss one thing with Joseph, with Joe, because he mentioned that he really is a little bit of. I think he mentioned that he was not enthusiastic about the complexity of the MSI, and I take that very serious because I would like to see that productive code going into production. And one of the reasons why the MSI is so complicated because it's really the MS build part which is so complex. So we could throw away all the MSI build part, which is 5 to 6 files, and have just batch scripts calling the MSI executable. So you need to discover files, link them, and build the MSI. So instead of having the MS build thing, which is integrated into Visual Studio, which you do not need, if we could decide of letting the Visual Studio integration part go, we could slash complexity. So this is a decision I cannot make. I can just propose to you reducing the complexity by just never try to use the Visual Studio integration, which I do not use myself. So I'm kind of pulling back all the complexity just for the case that some Visual Studio enthusiastic guru comes and say, yeah, wonderful. We could make it more simple by having a much simpler setup. Maybe there's a risk involved, but I just noticed Joseph to disappear. So I assume he has other tasks to do, but I would like to go forward in the direction of Joseph because yeah.
So you're saying that a lot of the complexity that is there is to support doing a build with Visual Studio.
From within Visual Studio.
And you're saying that we could rip that out and still be able to build an MSI.
Yes, because
essentially we would no longer support building. It would no longer support building through Visual Studio.
Visual Studio, which is not a big loss because it's not a Visual Studio application. We are just outside of Visual Studio, have a bunch, except of a C# file, but most of it's outside anyway. So we do not really need to have. I think that's what, ironically, Joseph built it from within Visual Studio. So he would be the first person. I never tried it from within. I was surprised that it works. So if I just do it from command line. So we could reduce to command line only, which is good enough for me. If
and that uses Wix.
And that uses just Wix commands. So you need the 3 Wix executables, and you could throw away all the build dot, which is a very complicated XML structure. Then if you've looked into a Visual Studio solution, it's a hugely complicated XML file which nobody can read, but which need to be maintained. And then comes a new Visual Studio version. We need to upgrade that and blah, blah, blah.
Okay, yeah. When I was first looking at this, my original intent was to not use Visual Studio at all and to do it all through Wix.
You have my support.
And a community member had gone ahead and built it with Visual Studio. So that's why we have what we have today.
Yeah, this is Bill. And he I think he came from a Visual Studio project, and he just used his Visual Studio project, but we could get rid of, I think, 30–40% of complexity by just not supporting Visual Studio, which isn't really needed.
I think I'm okay with that.
Ask Joseph, because he's now our Visual Studio guy. I'm not.
Okay. He says he's on his way to the office right now, and that Zoom isn't letting him get in from his mobile. So
yeah, he told me the same. He had planned to attend and just running late.
I'll talk to him about that today. And
yep.
Let me ask a few other people to make sure we don't want to continue supporting both.
I wouldn't
But
throw.
my thought is to get rid of the Visual Studio part and just build with Wix.
We could do it a while in parallel to build up scripts which could play the role of the build, just a build infrastructure, and then have it both for a while. And then if nobody really wants it, then throw away the Visual Studio part. We can go in parallel for a while. It's all there, so it doesn't need to be maintained. It's just frustrating when you look into it. I understand that nobody is really. It took me half a year to have, to administer all this complexity, and I think it's too complex.
Okay. It's even too complex for you.
Yeah, and I had a very Will gave me a very patient introduction, and yes. So what is your plan with Python 2 the next year? So it's no longer officially supported. Would you completely scrap Python 2 from the picture, or would you still?
So the plan is to drop Python 2 with the Sodium release. So we're about to release Neon in January or February.
Oh.
And we will continue to support Python and Neon because we said we would, even though Python is now officially deprecated in January.
Yeah,
we said we would drop it in Sodium. So
okay.
That'll be when we probably stop building official Python 2 builds.
Okay. Yeah, then I appreciate that. I'm kind of bound to Python 2.
But if we're still having this timeout issue that only shows up in Python 3 and we haven't fixed it by then, that might be a good argument to continue to build Python 2. But I think the code's going to diverge. I think in Sodium they're gonna start doing a lot of Python 3 only code and stop trying to even support Python 2 in the code as far as what we're writing. Do you know what I'm saying? So I don't know if it'll even be feasible to build Python 2 after Neon.
I think it must be. We should be able to find this problem. I mean.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. So the position is it's one release, including Python 2, and then probably not, which is a fine thing because it's out of support. I'm fine with that. We need to find the time problem.
Yeah, if you can email me that issue so that I can look at it again and bring it to some other people's attention to see if they're seeing it. It's $5 5 minutes to connect to the master isn't that's not good.
No, essentially I could even with it doesn't consume CPU. It seems to be so it's not pulling, it's waiting. So if I have to, I would even roll it out because then all my minions would be, they are shutting down and coming up all the time. So it looks like they were coming in 5 minutes later, which is no problem at all, really. But it gives me a bad feeling. So I would find it much more nice to understand what's happening.
Yeah.
Can I introduce a new topic?
Yeah.
Which has to do with German. So you are so lucky that 7-bit ASCII is perfect for you for English, and you may have heard all these strange letters and things. And in fact, there is this one code page with Windows 10 still is using. So it's a code from what's his name? I forgot one of your colleagues. Anyhow, what Salt essentially is doing, it's on Windows, it's setting the IBM code page 472 or something. So it's a really year 17 code page.
437. CP 437 is the default.
Right.
English Windows.
Exactly. And the fun part is it just contains English. It also contains some of the German letters, which would make the French angry if they would knew about it. But it's not really German, so that code page only supports English. And we could essentially use something like UTF-8, which Windows supports. You could, and I suggest Salt is doing that.
I think SALT is UTF-8 internally. The code page stuff was for when we were dealing with the command prompt, when we're shelling stuff out.
Exactly, and this is where the problem comes. So you set the code, you shell out a command, and in the wrong way you set the code page. I get disk
So we need
size.
to not set it there. Okay.
You should not. You should set it to another code page, and we would need to discuss that.
Well, it should probably be dynamic based on the operating system installed, right? Based on the localization SALT's running in, and not just hard-coded to CP437.
I think it could be hard-coded because then I think you have trouble of detecting it. So detecting the right code page could be more complicated than setting it to UTF-8. But this must be discussed in length probably. But the Windows group should be aware of that problem outside of the US. So how many?
Right.
We have? I think a French person also reported that. But I seem to be the only German Windows user reporting that. So I do not want to be I don't think I'm the only one. I looked into all the issues, and the problem is that because the code page is used for creating the shell, but then UTF-8 is already used for decoding, you get a decoding error. So it's not just, it's replaced by something else, but SALT isn't capable of decoding the response. So it is as if the connection was broken. And this is really very low. This is, yeah, it fractures the connection between client and server. And whenever for example, if I say a simple dir command, disk size contains a foreign letter in German, a non-7-bit ASCII. So I can test it with dir on a German Windows machine, and then it's a decoding, a Python decode error.
And my understanding is that a lot of these Unicode translation issues are fixed on Python 3.
There are, but
is that not the case?
It is the case. The fun part is that you impose IBM code page 472 or something. So your SALT is creating that problem, not Python.
Well, I think that was put in there to try to fix that problem.
It was his name, yeah, but it continues to live in Python 3, by the way. You're setting the code page also in Python 3, and it's the wrong code page.
Right, but then we could remove that when we go to Python 3.
Yeah, you could remove it only in Python 3. You could even benefit from it in Python 2. And David Boucher was it. Somehow he didn't. He's no longer involved with programming or Windows, or.
Yeah, he's more on the professional services side.
Okay, but this is something I would really like to see go away soon.
Yeah.
The support for any other language than English.
So that's he did that in 2013.
Yeah, and at that time somebody asked, but what is with the other languages? And he did not catch it. So somebody was much too polite, saying this is the wrong solution. And so, as I'm German, I do not need to be so polite. I need to say clearly this is the wrong code page.
So what code page should we use there?
I suggest UTF-8.
Is that it, the 65001?
It
That's
is.
the code page? See, I think I don't know if we tried that there. I remember trying to set the code page and then run salt, and that just died. But just doing it for a single command, you're saying that works? Instead of 437 here to do 65001?
I think this is also, it is also the wrong place to do so, because it has an off by one problem. If you say change code page and then ampersand, then it's only doing that the next time. You should do it before you call the Python. So you call the Python, you first set the code page, then you call the Python interpreter or the Python executable. So we need to decide, or you need to decide how to call the Python interpreter, and it should be called with the right code page. So this is also the wrong place. It's the wrong code page, in my opinion. This is just my my perspective. But it's not only the wrong code page, it's also much too late to call it when you issue the command.
So changing the code page and then doing an ampersand doesn't actually change the code page.
No.
Until the following command.
Yes,
right?
and this is only a side effect. You should not rely on that. What you can do is set the code page, start Python, and then see that everything works nice.
So I did do that, and Salt doesn't start with 65001 code page. It wouldn't even launch.
Okay, let's repeat that.
This was 4 years ago. I remember trying this. I remember this was a big issue when I first started, and this was kind of the best we could come up with.
Oh, that's 4 years ago. Then maybe it's a Python. I tried that in Python 2 and it worked, but we can either say that I looked through a lot of news groups regarding an Python 2 kind of only half.
So where did you set that? Where did you set the code page?
On the command line.
So you changed it and then you launched Python or launched Salt?
Yes, Salt. And then I removed the change code page from the code, and so I can document all that and set up a discussion. Even if the code is there are only slight changes, but we need to discuss that thoroughly and test it thoroughly. So I think the Windows Workgroup is a very good point to do that, and we won't be ready, in tomorrow, but.
Okay. I think I tried doing that in the batch files that we have.
Yeah, you should. That's a good place.
So you set it there, but the problem is you have to turn it back off.
No, you can. You don't need. When you have a batch file, you create a subshell or an environment, and then sometimes this ends, and everything is cleaned up when
when the script ends.
Yep.
Okay. So you've tested this on German? You've done that in
this? Yep.
So if I do that in the salt-call.bat, if I just do a CP 6500 at the beginning, 65001.
And remove the code of David. So do not CP 473 in when you call the.
Just call the command directly.
Yep.
Okay. I'll have to do some testing on that.
Yep, please. But this will.
But I think I can only. Maybe I'll have you test it. I don't have a German box.
I sent you a file with one you can just copy some text into German text into a file of French for that matter. You then you could even do it with Russian if you like, and you can have currently with the IBM code page for 400 something. It just creates a decode error which is not there when you use UTF-8. So you can test that also on an English Windows.
Did you email that to me?
Yes.
Okay.
There are system commands which only reply with German, of course, but you can test that with just text files which contain UTF-8 characters. So the test file would not call a system command, but just type or somebody also a file name could be a problem. So file names currently. So if you have somebody send you, the worst thing would be a computer. Maybe that's not legal. A computer name with a non-7-bit word, but any file could be a problem. So you do not. The test case would not involve a different operating system locale.
Okay. All right. Yeah, you said you did send that, or you were going to send it?
I have already.
You emailed it to me a while
issue.
back?
Yeah. Let me see. Well. This is second. I can look into small screen. Git start. Then SaltStack pull requests. Issues. Right, Unicode decode error. You could see into an issue 54447. 5 4. How can I chat?
Saltmaster patch state SLS causes Unicode error.
Yep.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
here below, I have also added the line of David, and as soon as, for example, if you say command run dir, which really is just then because a drive in German contains an umlaut, it's already just decode error there. But this is a system command. You could have that same problem with the same letters in a file. And so the code page, that's a code page to use English, which is good enough to use English, but it's just only good enough for US English. And this also includes all file content and file names. So this is much too restrictive.
Yes. I'm just reading through it here. Okay. Then you found somebody else's project where they're doing WinUnicode. Somebody created a console.
What I did? Why did I comment it that way? Second, maybe that was. Don't take that too seriously. I don't know why I added that comment there. So please overlook that. I could even remove it because I do not know why I have put that comment in there. So I should have put that in my notebook somewhere, not there. That's not a sensitive comment. The fact is we need to decide which code page is a good one and where to enact it. And how to test it. And
yeah, I'd be interested to see what this does to our tests. And
definitely.
And in fact, I don't know. So if I put that in the batch file, that would work for if you run it from the command prompt. But what about when you start it as a service? How do we get Salt to set the right code page there?
Good question.
I don't know. We'd have to look at all the places it's getting set and figure out how
Exactly.
to-
Yes.
yeah.
This would involve maybe the service manager.
Yes. Oh, I see. You slacked it to me here. Okay. Okay. Well, this is a bigger issue.
For all the world except of America. So you may not even notice, but then if somebody sends you a file on your computer which has a non-7-bit ASCII character, you get the same problem.
Yeah. And we also do have a lot of customers in Europe, and we're looking at promoting more Salt in Europe. In fact, I think they're looking at doing a Salt Conf next year in Europe.
That would be nice. What is with SUSE? I saw that SUSE has a fork of the Salt package, and it somehow has reduced the efforts at the beginning of this year. So there was a cooperation, is a cooperation between SUSE and Salt Stack still living and thriving?
I thought it was. They use Salt underneath their, what's their product called?
Yeah, manager, some
SUSE Manager or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That uses Salt. Maybe they forked it for that. I think they keep it at a version behind us. I don't think they're as up on the releases as we are.
And I think
don't know
SUSE
why
will be. They won't. I think they won't do anything with Windows. So that's why that code page is a Windows-only problem. So it might be that all the on the Unix side you have full UTF-8 Unicode support, but it's just a restriction for Windows, and so that's why the SUSE people don't notice that.
Yeah, I don't know. They don't. They've presented at SaltConf, and I asked them, "Well, does this work on Windows?" And then they all laugh. You know, it's never going to work on Windows. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I wasn't aware they had forked. So, but I know it would make sense if they're depending on it under the hood for one of their projects, and they wouldn't want to have us changing things out from under them. I don't know. Okay. So we've talked about MSI, incorporating that into our script.
Good.
Possibly stripping out all of the Visual Studio code from the MSI.
I suggest that, yeah.
To simplify that. And then we've also talked about the code page issues in Salt on Python 2. Now, you don't have those code page issues with Python 3.
The same. It's not related to Python 2.
So it's
okay, so you restrict to the code page, and yeah, it's Python 2.
So because we set that code page right there, that messes it up. Okay. So changing the code page will fix Python 3.
In fact,
but probably not Python 2.
It also works. No, it works on Python 2 too. I tried it on Python 2.
And I kept getting question marks for weird characters. It would never give me back the actual characters.
Maybe because you did not remove the set code page 437.
437. Okay, could be that. What's a combination of the two?
Well, you only need to set the correct code page, and setting it to 473 is maybe that was the reason why it didn't work, because you were not aware that David set it on there.
Okay. Or I hadn't taken that into account. But if that doesn't work until the next run, it wouldn't matter, would it? Or it messes up the next run.
It messes up the next run.
Okay.
I don't fully understand why. The next run, it shouldn't be, but that's...
Okay. Reset system locale is true. Okay, well, I will look at this some more
Good.
and maybe send you some sample code and have you test it and see if it works.
Yep. Good. I'm looking forward to that.
Okay. All right. Does anybody else have anything?
No.
Okay. Well, thank you, Marcus, for all that you've done and all of your work on the MSI and everything. It's awesome.
Thank you for picking that up.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't have anything else.
Me neither.
Okay. Well, thank you for coming and being a part of the Windows working group. And
Thank you.
I'll pass this all on to Joe, and we'll see what we can get figured out on the code page issues and what we can investigate about the minion not connecting. And
Yeah, if you can ask Daniel if Yummy can be run on Windows, and that would be a start point, because I repeated that and it's I don't know how to go further. I just observe, I start the minion, and then 5 minutes later the server observes that. So what do I do in the time between?
Right, what's going on there? Why is it not connecting? Okay, so I think I have everything written down that we were talking about. Okay. Well, you wanted to, it was the, Yummy on the minion. What was it? Profiling? Is that what you said?
It's profiling, yeah. Oh, maybe it's not, yeah, or debugging. I mean, what does the minion do? It's all that Tornado framework. So to watch Tornado doing what it's doing and waiting for. So there must be a Tornado detective. Let's call it detective. What the hell the minion is doing after he starts? Why he doesn't speak to the Salt Master? I think the Salt Master has nothing. Wouldn't delay it. The minion seems to delay the fact that it started.
I know they're doing a pretty big refactor on Tornado right now to be released with Neon. They're moving to Tornado 5.5, getting off 4. They've been having some problems getting it to work, but maybe that'll fix the issues if they get this transition to Tornado 5. I think there's Tornado 6 is even out now, isn't it?
I have very little. If you could tell me how to debug or look into it, but I haven't spent any time on Tornado.
Me neither. Daniel's doing all that. Okay. Yeah, it's Tornado 6 is out now. We're just only adding support for Tornado 5. So I don't know. It'd be interesting to see if you still have the problems with Neon, because they've done quite a refactor and fixed a lot of memory leaks and things like that.
Okay.
But we're still having a hard time getting it to pass tests. So, all right.
Good.
Well, thank you, Marcus.
Thank you,
Everybody. Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas to you.
Hope you guys have a great holiday, and we'll talk to you next month.
Perfect. See you then.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye-bye.